and how you started to giggle? This is your problem. Your problem is not math, your problem is you. And I'm going to go through that in a minute. Okay, so we talked about numbers 1, 2, 3. Number 1 was pretty straightforward, y equals mx plus b. Number 2, we said you have to get it in y equals form. Number 3, we have to get it in y equals form. Number 2, when it asks what the slope is, the x is never part of the answer. It's just the number in front of the x. And the y-intercept, make sure it says y equals first. The y-intercept is not 6. You have to get it to say y equals, which means you need to add the 4x. You need to divide by the 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So the y-intercept b is 2. Now we get to these last two. Number 4 was very well graphed, with the exception, and I don't know if this was bad counting, sloppy, but 2 or 3 of you put the y-intercept right here. Please look and see where I'm pointing. This is not the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -3. This is like when you roll the dice at Monopoly. This is 0 here. This is not 1. 1, 2, 3. That is -3. So make sure you begin at the right mark. It's a shame when you do everything else right, but because you began at the wrong place, you can't get it right. Why do we use a B for y-intercept? Because it's where you what? Begin. So you need to begin at the right place, or the graph cannot be right. And now this one gave us a lot harder time because, again, about half of you are not always remembering to put it in y equals form. So first you have to subtract the 4x, then you need to divide by 2, like in number 3. Y equals -2x plus 3. The slope is -2 over 1. The y-intercept is 3. A number of people went up instead of down because they saw the plus 4 here. But the y wasn't all by itself yet. You can't look for slopes. You can't look for y-intercepts until the y is all by itself. Notice in number 4, was the y all by itself?
Yes.
Yeah. So now you can look for the y-intercept. You can look for the slope, and you can do something with it. Now, I am going to do something that is a total risk because I don't know what's going to happen here. But the point I would make to you guys is that you are absolutely, positively your own worst enemy. I have a question.
Yes.
Are the 10 Commandments a good thing or a bad thing?
Good.
Why? Well, there would be anarchy and so on without rules. I have a question.
Yes.
If nobody murdered, if nobody stole, if nobody lied about each other, if everybody took time to spend with the things that matter most in life, like family, faith if it's part of your life, if everybody basically followed all 10 of those commandments, forget if you're religious or not, we're not even going there. Wouldn't the world be a much better place?
Yes.
Aren't the headlines in the newspapers chock full of people who violate those 10 commandments all the time?
Yeah.
Now, there's certain things that you do to be successful, certain ideas that are brought up to you. Those ideas are not brought up to ruin your life. They're brought up to make your life better. One of them is work hard, do your schoolwork. Now, do I think doing my schoolwork is as much fun as fishing? Nope. Do I think doing my schoolwork is as much fun as being out in nature? Nope. But one career I could have in a heartbeat when I retire, I could easily transfer into this career, is to be a guide on a river for fly fishing. I would be very good at it, and I would have a great business started very quickly. Now, if I did that, I would get $500 a day to take somebody fishing. Plus tip, probably more like $600 a day. But one of the things that makes me really good at what I do is in fly fishing, I know physics. And the casting of a fly rod is all physics. I know entomology from my study of sciences. Entomology is bugs. The fish eat the bugs. The more I understand about the bugs, the more I understand about how the fish are gonna feed. The more I understand how the fish are gonna feed, the more I'm gonna catch. So there's all of these things going on. I have great logic skills, great reasoning skills from my study of mathematics. So even though school's not a lot of fun, it opens up career paths for me, where I can make a certain amount of money doing what it is that I want to do.
Are you?
I honestly don't think I want to. I think I want to stay home and go fishing myself without talking to anybody. But I am going to hope, I am going to be totally, here we go, ready? I just went to YouTube. I've never done this before in my life. I have no idea what I'm going to pop up here. How to be successful.
Oh, there.
Now, I want one that's pretty short, so let me,
5 minutes. You should put the 20 minutes one.
yeah, I'm sure you want the 20 minutes one. All right, Will Smith, and it's 9 minutes and 57 seconds. Let me see if there's another famous person. Who?
It could be good. No, Jackie Chan. Up.
No, I'm not going there.
Right there. Right there. How to become a millionaire?
All right, here we go. 1 minute, 29 seconds. This is the guy that founded
People
Apple.
say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion. And I think that's the high order bit. The second thing is you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people, and you've got to figure out how to size people up fairly quickly, make decisions.
He's
without
talking
knowing
about
people
somebody
too
who
well,
runs a company.
and hire them, and see how you do and refine your intuition.
I'm going to go back to the Will Smith one. He's talking about like as a guy who runs Apple, and that's a different priority system than you guys have.
Yeah, but that's true.
Oh, everything he said is absolutely true. And hey, when I build a wrestling team, when I build a baseball team, that's how I build a team. But he's talking about as the guy who runs a team and has people under him. I want to talk about as the person who wants to work their way up the ladder, not the guy who's at the top of the ladder.
There's a big thing you can do for your small business. Switch to FiOS. FiOS is not cable. We're
Skip
wired
ahead.
to...
Nice. And I'm going to cut this short because I'm not spending time.
I have a great time with my life, and I want to share it. I love living. I think that's infectious. It's something that you can't fake.
But do you really want to talk? It's not a problem. Lenny, I'll tell you
Greatness
what, Len.
is
Hold it,
not
time out. You
this
know what?
Wonderful.
Lenny, I am taking time to try to help kids in this room, and you're eating paper? Are you kidding me?
Guys,
Lenny?
it's not funny, guys.
Listen, this is the God's honest truth. Hold it, listen. Lenny, you have made a willful decision to mess up your life. It's unfortunate. Listen, every one of you, this is really, really important to understand. I'm not saying schoolwork's the most important thing in the world, because I don't think it is. But the way you go about your business is one of the most important things in the world. When someone sits there and tries to show you how to get successful and how to be a better person, and you decide that you don't need to pay attention to that, It's not me talking now. This is Will Smith, Steve Jobs. And you decide that you would rather do anything, and it really doesn't matter if it was putting your head down or eating paper. The truth of the matter is that at some point, you're going to figure it out. Now, I am going to be as graphic as I possibly can. If you choose not to do your work, you have every right to do that. If you choose not to develop a strong work ethic, even at things you don't like to do, it is your life. You figure it out, you do it. But this is what reality is going to be at some point in the not too distant future. Take a look at the kids sitting around you in the room. Some of these kids are gonna work hard. They're gonna develop a really good work ethic, and they're gonna be really successful. Then, if you don't, they will be your boss. And they will go to work every day, and they will make $30 an hour, $50 an hour, maybe as much as $100 an hour. I have been paid $100 an hour to work with kids in the summertime. People call me up, they say, Bob, I want you to work for me. I said, no, I don't feel like it. They said, I really want you to work for me. I said, I really don't feel like it. He says, listen, I'll pay you $100 an hour. I said, when do I start? $100 an hour. You don't want to do your work, you want to be lazy, you think a work ethic's not important? Listen, I don't mean to sound snotty here, but this is the truth. The best you can hope for is McDonald's. You'll make your $7 an hour. I'll make more in 1 hour than you'll make in 2 days. And it's not because I'm better than you, because I'm not better than you. It's because I know what a work ethic is. And now here's something that Steve Jobs talked about and Will Smith just talked about. And I tried to go through this, and we're going to can it in a minute. Will Smith talked about how much he enjoys things. I love my job. I love coming to work every day. Well, most days. I want to be great. I want to be really good. I have a passion for doing it. When you are passionless, when you don't like what you do, when you don't develop a work ethic, that is a recipe for a miserable life. So if you keep it up, in 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years, you look around at all of the kids in this class who developed a work ethic. They're gonna have a house, they're gonna have a family, they're gonna have a nice car. Their life, for the most part, is gonna be in a good place. And it's gonna be because of the decisions they made now. You, on the other hand, if you willfully decide you don't want to do work, and how do you tell that? If your quiz grade was 20 or 30 or 40 points worse than yesterday's after I gave you the answers to yesterday's, you decided you did not want to do the work. If when someone tries to show you the wisdom of people like Will Smith and Steve Jobs and you decide to horse around, you've made a willful decision not to do work. This is not an accident. You wanted to not improve. You wanted to not do work. So don't go crying when your life is a disaster in 20 years. Because whose fault is it? It's yours. Now, the flip side of that is that you can come in every day and you can say, yeah, you know what, I don't feel like doing this. You're human. I don't think anybody walks in this room and says, God, I can't wait to graph today. But successful people say, you know what, this has some importance to it. Let me get down to work. Let me get down to business. And then they do something really, really cool. They find something good in it. They find something fun in it. And it breathes life into it. And they get better and better and better. And then when you get older, you can specialize in the kind of thing you want to specialize in. But right now, and this is the most terrifying part of all of this, you have a responsibility to yourself. And you are letting yourself down. It's very painful. My son, my oldest son, Bobby, we put him through his first year of college, and he did not take it seriously at all. And because he did not take it seriously, he suffered. And in the course of his sufferings, he went through some very hard times. And at one point, he looked at me and he said, Dad, you know what? I would give anything, to go back to my freshman year of college and start all over. He was a good high school student, he was not a good college student. He cut classes. He said, I would do anything to go back and do it all over again. He said, that was the biggest mistake of my life. So you need to decide where you stand. Okay, so today's lesson, we're gonna have to do short and sweet, because it didn't make any sense to do a lesson to a bunch of kids who weren't motivated to learn. Hopefully now you have a reason to learn. So look, today we're learning this thing called the elimination method, and we're going to do it again tomorrow. It's whenever we solve two of these at the same time. Now, one way, can we focus here and not rustle papers? One way is to graph them. But another way is to do this thing called the elimination method. And we do the elimination method whenever I see the x's stacked on top of each other, the y's, the equals, and the numbers. Whenever everything is stacked or aligned, nice and neatly. And then all I do is add them up. What's 1x plus 2x? Die, positive and negative y add up to nothing. It's like plus 1 minus 1. Equals, what's 9 plus 3? 12. Now I divide by 3 like I would in any equation, and I get x is 4. But here's the thing that's different. The thing that's different is up until now, once we found x, sit down. Once we found x, we were done. We're not done, because how many letters are in this problem? 2. How many have we found? 1. So I rewrite the first equation, x plus y equals 3. I take the 4 and I substitute it in for x. Now I minus the 4 from both sides. Y equals -1. So whenever they're aligned, whenever they're lined up straight, we add them, eliminate a variable, get x is -1. Tonight, work is hard. We're coming back at it tomorrow. No stories, no motivation. If you still choose not to do it, you can suffer, you can fail. Joe, you had a pen? Diana, is that your sheet?
Following students, please report to room 205. Angie Ventura, Marilyn Hernandez, Heather Cruz, Luis Pena, and Daniel Martinez to room 205, please.
When you subtract 4 from both sides, 3 minus 4 is -1, so y is -1. So the x is 4, the y is -1. Those are the two values. All right, bud?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day.